Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Okay, so this is June 14th. And we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam 129. It's on the third page of our purport of text 2. Why don't we just chant responsively? Dharmasya hyapavargasya narthorthayopakalpate nartasya dharmaikantasya kamolabhaya hi smrita. All occupational engagements, dharma, are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. they should never be performed for material gain. Furthermore, one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service, dharma, should never use material gain to cultivate sense gratification. And then the next is famous. So these are the four famous things: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. And this is the answer by Sutta Goswami to the question, what is the ultimate dharma? And he says, Savaipum samparo dharmo yato bhaktir adokshara. So he says the ultimate dharma is bhakti, to adokshara. Okay, so we continue with verse 2, describing the 6 obstacles to success. So let us chant, or yes, why don't we, you know what, let's do like this. Let us read each line 3 times all together. Is it clear? 3 times, all of us together reading. So 4 lines, each line 3 times, reading all together. Atyahara prayasascha, atyahara prayasascha, atyahara prayasascha, prajalpo niyamagraha, prajalpo niyamagraha, prajalpo niyamagraha, jana sangascha lolyam cha, jana sangascha lolyam cha, jana sangascha lolyam cha, Shadbir bhaktir vinashyati, Shadbir bhaktir vinashyati, Shadbir bhaktir vinashyati. And then the translation, also whoever has the English translation, let us read the translation also in one voice altogether. One's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities. 1. Eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required. 2. Over-endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain. 3. Talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters. 4. Practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically. 5. Associating with worldly-minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. And 6. Being greedy for mundane achievements. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Yasya Prasadadagyopi Sadhe Sarvagyatam Vrajet Sashi Chaitanya Devame Bhagavan Sam Prasidatu. May Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, be fully merciful unto me. By His grace, a complete fool can get all knowledge in one moment. One more verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Vaigunya kita kalita paisunya vranapidita dainyarnave nimagnoham Chaitanya Vaidyam asraye. I am eaten by the microbes of bad qualities, my bad qualities, and my whole body is itching because of envy and critical mentality. Therefore, I immerse myself in the ocean of humility and take shelter of Dr. Chaitanya. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Now we have the obstacles. So we have heard about the beginning of the path. The path leads to the highest perfection of the most ecstatic form of love of Godhead. And the path begins in the heart. The path begins with our identification. Vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam. So being able to not drown in these urges that flow in our heart. So that's the first verse given. And this verse itself doesn't even speak about bhakti. But still, it's the beginning. It's connected to our surrender, the process of purification. The acharyas are quoting a verse saying that like a swan doesn't swim in a dirty swamp, in the same way Krishna does not manifest in the heart that's too overwhelmed by lust or lamentation. Sometimes we think only lust is too bad, but lamentation is also something that can cover our heart. And Krishna will not manifest in either lusty or lamenting heart. So therefore these 6 urges are like the steps to the temple. So just like to enter here, we walk up the steps. We walk up the staircase. So this staircase, is it the temple or is it not the temple? It's part of the temple, but is it, if you're on the stairs, are you already inside or are you not inside? So this is the entry. So it's in between. You need the steps. I think you can't come here without walking up either these steps or that steps. Some steps you have to walk up, right? So surrender is walking up the steps. Surrender, letting go of attachments, letting go of identifications, of false ego. Yes, with the false ego, you cannot serve Krishna, because servant of Krishna is someone who is not part of this material world. So that's the first verse. Now the second verse describes what happens if we are not working on our urges. And we have these 6 obstacles. I did mention already that the exact same verse is found in Hatha Yoga Pradipika. So this will destroy also just the practice of yoga, just the practice of spiritual advancement. Overeating, over-endeavoring, mundane talk, not following the rules or following without understanding, then mundane association and greed. These things will spoil anybody's progress on any path. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that it's very rare for bhakti to manifest if we are not trying to purify our heart from the 6 things. It's very rare. Very rarely it may be possible, but it's something that makes it very difficult. So Srila Prabhupada begins by saying, human life is meant for plain living and high thinking. Plain living or simple living, high thinking. Srila Gopal Krishna Maharaj, when he first started coming to Ukraine, I remember in Kiev some year, he said, he was joking that Vedic ideal is simple living and high thinking. Modern, westernized ideal is high living and simple thinking. And he says here in your communist places, communist republics, it's simple living, simple thinking. Both simple. But at least something should be high. So at least high thinking. High thinking is the best. And In the purport, Srila Prabhupada speaks about two opposite directions. We have the definition of a Mahatma, broad-minded person, one who has a big heart, broad mind, broad understanding. So Mahatma, broad-minded. We want to be broad-minded or liberal in our understanding and heart. Oftentimes Srila Prabhupada would say Brahmana means liberal. Liberal means that you are kind and you have a good heart to understand others. So who is Mahatma? Mahatma is somebody who bhajanti ananya manaso, one who worships, one who bhajanti, those who worship lovingly Krishna with as the only goal and take shelter under Daivi Prakriti, divine energy. So Srila Prabhupada says, pardon? Take shelter in Daivi Prakriti, divine energy. So here Prabhupada says, in this Gita quote, the words Daivim Prakritim refer to the control of the internal potency or pleasure potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The pleasure potency is manifested as Srimati Radharani, or her expansion Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. When the individual jiva souls are under the control of the internal energy, their only engagement is the satisfaction of Krishna or Vishnu. Раз, два, три. Так, тут маєш Махатмана, а потім наступний абзац. So, this is the position of a Mahatma. So the position of a Mahatma is take shelter under the pleasure potency, the goddess of happiness and fortune, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Shyam.
Because from the Bhagavad Gita verse, Daivi Isha Gunamaya, and
yes.
Daivi is the Maya, like the inner potency, the external energy and not the internal.
Daivi means divine, so external is also divine. Of course, I wanted to make a joke, so thank you for bringing this up. Yes, Krishna says it's very difficult to overcome Maya because she is also divine. Daivi Kesha Gunamayi, Mama Maya. Maya is also Krishna's. But there is the external divine and internal divine. So we take shelter in the internal divine energy, taking shelter under Srimati Radharani, under Sri Lakshmi. So Mahatma and Duratma. Yes, we have a broad-minded person, a great soul, generous soul, and we have Duratma, narrow-minded. So broad-minded, you want to get the current flowing, get the current of happiness flowing. You want to exchange happiness. You want to use your energy to give happiness to Krishna. Use your energy to give happiness to Krishna. As Akila Prabhu told me a couple of days ago, give more than you take. Right? So that's the idea, to have the flow going. And Duratma is the opposite. We try to get more to me, and therefore the flow becomes less. The flow is lessening. So these are the two opposite directions, Mahatma and Duratma. Duratma sounds very, very funny, especially if you speak any Slavic languages, because dur means stupid. Yeah? Duratma is like, doesn't sound nice. Duratma, yeah. Duratma. And on one hand. On the other hand, Mahatma sometimes is used very easily. Mahatma, right? In India, Mahatma is any sadhu, right? Is a Mahatma. I remember we were walking in the Himalayas with my friend, and then we came to one holy place, and then the locals said, "Oh, we both friend, we were in saffron. We had saffron dhotis in saffron clothes. So we came to one holy place, and then some local people said, "Oh, for the Mahatmas, you can sleep here. The Mahatmas can sleep there, and there is some food over there. So this is for the Mahatmas." But in our society, we are trained that it's a taboo. You cannot say you're a Mahatma or a devotee or anything. You are supposed to be very, very. You're supposed to always say that I am worse than the worm in a stool. So, I immediately said, "Sorry, I'm not a Mahatma. I am a Duratma." So this innocent local villager, he looked at me and said, "Oh, really? Oh, okay." Sorry, then I don't know where you should go. It's not clear. Anyway, there is one devotee, Ananda Maharaj. He's originally from Croatia, but he's been staying in Los Angeles since 20 or 30 years. So he got a sannyas not so long ago, and so he was passing through, I think, Delhi, and he was giving some lectures. So they wanted to make a poster, some devotees giving lectures, and he's still relatively, not old. He's like 40, not even 50, I think. So he's relatively young, and they made a poster. So how do you make a poster? So they wrote American lectures by an American saint. You have to write something, attractive, American saint. And so one Western devotee read it and said, "What? He's just, a youngster, and he's already a saint. Why does he advertise himself as a saint?" Right? So this is our Western idea of a saint, because if you investigate a saint, what is the first requirement to be a saint? You have to be dead. You have to be dead, and you have to be dead minimum 30 years. One pope was canonized dead for at least 30 years. There was a pope who died, nice person, and they canonized him. They gave him some saintly status only after 3 years. Not 30, but 3 years. For him, they changed the rules that, okay, he's a really nice person. Everybody liked him. So they gave him some saintly status. I forgot what's the exact name for this status. After 3 years. And then, after 5 years, somebody came and said, no, he was not very nice when he did this and this. So somebody tried to create a scandal, and they said, "Oh, this is so bad, we should have waited for 30 years. It's 3 years is too little. Still too many people know him." Somebody will come and he said, no, 3 years ago during prasadam, he didn't leave me any khichdi. He ate all khichdi himself. So he's not a Mahatma, he's a Duratma. he does not deserve it. And during the kirtan, he stomped on my foot. How can he be a saint? If obviously he's some egoistic monster if he stomps on my foot. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit. But in India, who is a saint or a saintly person? When we say in India, when we say a saint or a saintly person, like Srila Prabhupada is using these words frequently, he means a saintly person or a sadhu is somebody who is practicing the method for purification. That's a saintly person. That's a sadhu. Sadhu means also good. Who is good? Who is a sadhu? Who is a saint? Somebody who is trying to be saintlier. Not that you are already, like, if you are in a kirtan, you should be at least 5 centimeters above the floor. And if somebody is only 3 centimeters, what is this? He must have eaten too much khichdi yesterday. only 3 centimeters. How can you be so, so fallen? only 3 centimeters floating above the floor. No, saintly air today, or this year, slightly saintlier than last year. Meaning that there is a positive dynamics. That you are moving to become better. So then that's a practitioner, that's a sadhu, that's already someone who can be called a Mahatma. So your goal is only Krishna, and your process is devotional service or giving the best to Krishna. Then you are moving, taking shelter under Shrimati Radharani, the divine energy of service, loving service to Krishna. Any questions here? Any points? Björn?
Yeah, recently I heard one lecture that it was said that also we are under the shower, like Bhakti Yoga is the shower, and we are dirty, and then somebody says, "Oh, he's dirty," and so on. Like this is what we are doing nowadays, sort of like criticizing each other, but actually we are under the shower. Some is more dirty, some is less dirty. So it's
being under the shower. Yes. No point criticizing for being dirty someone who is already trying to get washed. Yeah. Sometimes, of course, we are in the shower and it's very cold. Did you notice if you have only cold water in the shower goes so much quicker? It's some interesting phenomenon, right? It's like one of the miracles. If it's cold water, it's so much quicker for some reason. Yes. So I remember when I joined near Lviv, West Ukraine, Lemberg. In winter, we didn't have shower inside. We had a shower outside, and it was like the record cold. It was 20 or 30 degrees below zero. I forgot. So it was super cold. So when we took shower, we had to keep moving your feet, because otherwise you freeze into the ice. So one devotee, he ran out to take a shower, and he's running back, and his gamcha is dry. So how did you take a shower? He said, well, I took the bucket and I poured. But, a little behind. Just because it's too cold. But at least he's trying, right? So that's already good. When it got warmer, his gamcha was more wet. Anyway, so these are two directions. One is to get things for myself, and the other is to give things to Krishna in a proper balance. Srila Prabhupada speaks about over-collecting. He says that that's the problem of the human society, that we try to hoard things only for ourselves. They say that even with the modern technologies, the same amount of earth and land that we are using now can feed 10 times more people. So in other words, Prabhupada says there is no question of scarcity. It's the question of how we distribute all the wealth, and whether we are doing this in a God-conscious, proper way. We read in the 4th canto that the earth did not want to produce grains because the grains were not offered, were not used in a pious way. So Prithu had to discipline the deity of earth and make sure, convince earth that the government is no longer demoniac. So therefore, earth should give grains. Prabhupada is giving the example that if we see some money lying, there are two approaches. If you see money lying on the ground, you can take this money and use it to buy what? You can, pizza. Okay, you can you can see the money and use it to, you can find 50 euros and buy pizza for 50 euros. In our Ljubljana temple, I think one pizza is 6 euros. So that will be 8 pizzas, right? Something like this. No, 6 euros. That will be the, 8 pizzas, right? Or you can try to find who did it belong to and give it back, right? Or you can leave it. So you use it and buy 8 pizzas. This is one approach. Or you just leave it there and say, oh, I didn't, this is not my money, I will not take. But the best is you take this money and give it to the person who lost it. So this is karma, jnana, and bhakti. So karma, you use the wealth to enjoy. Jnana, you don't touch. But bhakti, you find the owner and give it back to the owner. So that's taking shelter on the Daivi Prakriti, Shrimati Radharani, the pleasure potency, and try to give pleasure to Krishna. So this is what we discussed. Well, who is the ultimate? If you cannot find the owner, then you can give it to the ultimate owner, Krishna. That's probably also very good. Okay, so we spoke yesterday that the negative things oftentimes are explained in these 3 categories: karma, vikarma, karma, and so-called akarma, false renunciation. So this will be like mayavad renunciation, this will be like pious activity, and this will be sinful activity. So these 6 categories we have here can also be explained in these 3 categories. So atyahara, overeating and over collecting. So in this vikarma, what would this be? What's the sinful activity? What's the things we can over collect or overdo in this category? Huh? Eating and sleeping, this is pious. Sleeping? What if you sleep 9 hours or 8 hours? Okay, oversleeping, that's what? Sunday? Oh.
I'm thinking any bit of sinful activities
like
is too much.
meat
eating.
Like meat eating, okay, yes.
Any piece of meat you eat, it's too much.
Yeah.
Anything you do in vikarma, it's too much. And that's
all right. That's all right. Yes.
Spontaneous thought. Or let's say, as soon as one steps, karma is regulated sense gratification, and vikarma is irregulated sense gratification. So, for example, if we step out of, even within marriage, if we go out of the prescribed regulations for sex life, then it becomes too much. Does it make sense?
Yes. Regarding eating meat, this is also an interesting question. Like Srila Prabhupada says, if this is the question of survival, you can even you can eat meat. And in the Mahabharata, you have this story of Vishwamitra. Prabhupada mentions him in Canto 2 and some other places. How Vishwamitra came to a dog eater and he asked him for a piece of dog meat to eat during the famine. Dog meat. Famine. Hungersnot, yeah. Holod. And the dog eater didn't want to give it to him. He said, not only I'm a dog eater and you are such an elevated sage, this is also dirty meat, and this is the dirty part of the dirty meat. So how can I give it to you? Yeah. So Vishwamitra convinced him, no, I will take it anyway, so you could as well just give it as your charity. So he gave him, this back piece of dog, and then Vishwamitra, after so many years of hunger, he started offering this in a yagya to the demigods. that okay, Om Indraya, and so, he started offering this, and then as soon as he started offering this, then the flowers started falling from the sky, and he was glorified for doing it. And Srila Prabhupada mentions this in at least 2 places, that if there is a necessity, you can do it. Prabhupada says in the 4th canto that one could even eat cows if this is really, question of life and death. Canto 4, you may remember. Of course, hopefully you don't have to do this, and some devotees might prefer not to live, but actually Vishwamitra is glorified for not being dogmatic in this regard. And if you look at all our Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, they have all originated in the desert, basically, right? Middle East deserts, where you don't get too many strawberries and too much potatoes and wheat. You don't have so much vegetables, so they are not so heavy. They are not so heavy on meat eating. So in a desert, maybe eating some sheep meat. That's how they survive, right? So maybe like 500 years ago, even here in Europe, living on something else would be difficult. I mean, possible, but not easy. But nowadays, in that same desert, you just walk, 100 meters, and there is Carrefour supermarket or something, yes, and you can buy strawberries and you can buy anything. So what was the question of survival 1,000 or 2,000 years ago? Nowadays, it's no longer the question of survival. So obviously, it's a different game. So therefore, even eating meat, even though it's sinful normally, in such difficult Kali Yuga conditions, might be not considered so bad, so heavy. But yes, any sinful activity is not good, but sometimes, like nowadays, people see it as the sign of super prosperity. Like in India, you can see this is one of the problems, that people can buy meat, more meat, so therefore they think we should eat meat every day. Or like also in Europe. In Europe, like 100 years ago, meat was for the festivals. That was only for some holidays. They would slaughter something, and then some animal, and then they would feed the neighbors, and then that was it. They would not do it. There were no refrigerators. So that was just for several times a year, normal. Now, it's like matter of pride for many people that they try to do this as much as possible. Actually, it's any little is too much. But if some 100 years ago it was, not nice, but it was maybe something that was a matter of survival, now it's probably every little bit is sinful. Every little morsel is very sinful, as you say. Still, we digress to a side issue. Like trying to eat more meat, or fortunately in Germany you can see that every few months something else becomes vegan and vegetarian. The soap is vegetarian, the detergent is vegetarian. I always feel or the juice, they write in big letters, vegan. Juice is vegan, which is, I hope all juice is vegan, but yeah, I would be happy. No? Really? Oh, they filter. Wow. Okay, so it's very good that things become more and more vegan. You have, in the end, you have some vegan or vegetarian shelves. And in Europe, I think all around the world this is, about 10% of population declare that they are vegan or vegetarian, and among young people it's 20%. So it's a very good tendency that people are becoming more vegetarian. In Ukraine, last year they had some poll, and 2 people said they are vegan, 12 people said they are vegetarian, and 69% said that they would choose a plant-based alternatives if offered. 2% vegan in Ukraine. They said they are 2%. 12% vegetarian. they said we are vegetarian. But 69% said that if in the supermarket there will be meat and plant-based alternative, they will choose the plant-based. Means vegetarian. They will choose. So again, it's positive tendencies, very, very good tendencies for today. But moving from this bloody subject,
But as long as you don't offer it to Krishna, it's still considered sinful.
even a banana. Yes, Prabhupada says we are not just vegetarians. Pigeons, whoever he says, pigeons and monkeys are also vegetarians. Yeah. So, what else is atyahara in vikarma? What else we can over-collect or overeat? Overdo. Huh? Talk. That's prajalpa. This is the other category. Like trying to drink more and more alcohol, right? Get more and more drunk, or some drugs or something. Huh? Games. Games, yeah, some games. Gambling. Okay, so what would be over collecting in this karma category? Over collecting what? Books? Huh? Funds. So the pious karmi is aiming to go where? Heavenly planets. So they are trying to collect punya. So actually, they're trying to collect more and more punya, more and more pious activities, which in a way is nice, right? But we recently were speaking about how can punya become an obstacle? How can good activities become an obstacle?
You become in the mode of goodness, and then maybe you get proud and so on.
You can. We were speaking about Raghunath Das Goswami 2 days ago. So his parents were forcing him to enjoy. You have these millions of gold coins. Enjoy this. Don't you dare to go to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have to enjoy. Yes,
I'm remembering, I heard that once there was a Kadashi, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he came to one of his mats, and all the ashram residents, they were lying somewhere because they were
weak,
all
no energy. They're like, we are
and
fasting. Yes.
So in the name of being pious, we neglect the higher
Devotional
duty
service.
of
Yes. So
devotional service.
he fed them khichdi, non-ekadashi khichdi, and said, you go out and preach. Yeah, it's a famous story. Yeah, thank you. Subal Gopal Prabhu?
And also it might be a problem about too much pious activities, that you get attached to the results.
Too much?
That you get attached to the results, attached to the activity itself. And you also might think that this is actually the highest, the supreme goal.
Yes. I remember when I was last in Mayapur, after the Mangalarati, there was the announcement, please, devotees, look around. We have thousands and thousands of guests. So if you want to lie in a dandavat, sometimes, you can offer obeisances like this, So this is good. But obviously, if I can offer more, the dandavat, like this, it's more pious, right? More punya. Correct? And then if I can lie down for 20 seconds, that's good. But if I can down for 1 minute and 20 seconds, that's more, right? So that's why sometimes people almost die, like there is 3,000 people and somebody's lying in dandavat for 20 minutes and somebody's coming and then moving back and they're falling down. Because somebody is collecting punya, which is nice in general. But the morning announcement was, if you want to offer dandavats, do it somewhere nearby. So in South India, therefore, inside the temple, they don't offer obeisances. They offer obeisances behind the Garuda before entering, because inside it's packed. So they offer obeisances out there, and inside they just do like this, you know. So they offer pranam, and they're trying to be attentive to the other pilgrims, to the other visitors.
My question is if you also perform these pious activities to have sense gratification. Is it another form of sense gratification that you want to enjoy the material life?
Yes. Usually, a karmi will be able to aim for a very long term, in a long term, far perspective, you know, in the heavenly planets, because it's much better. But something comes also now. Something will come also now. Sometimes the good name is a form. Again, it's we are criticizing this, but actually this is a very rare pious person these days. Nowadays, people just are after sinful enjoyments, right? So such a person will be rare. But still, it's good to know the different categories. And this who is following so-called akarma, they will try to collect what? You already said something in this regard, Basharova. Books, yes. Yeah. Different. I mean, it's also nice. I like to collect books. Don't look into my hard drive. You know, I have all the books that I could get my hands on. Basically, it's collecting knowledge, right? Knowledge about spirit, which again is very nice in general. But there's nice and there is even better. Something else? Yes? Also, another thing Jnani will try to collect is austerity. Right? They'll try to collect austerities. Ah? Yeah, better to do austerity rather than perform your duties, yes.
I don't got the point why our karma is to collect books. Like, you mean transcendental literature, but why it is our karma? Or, of course, there's written false renunciation. Maybe
so-called, it's not akarma, it's so-called akarma. Like Arjuna was saying, I will not do service, I will not do my duties in even in karma yoga, I will just go to the forest to become free from the reaction. It's like, you know, the classic example is young family, small children, husband and wife, and then the small children, like I heard, you know, just the small child took birth, and suddenly the husband is coming to the Mangalarati every day. Driving, leaving the wife with the kid, you know, just because it's too much trouble. You know, the child is all the time, and she has to take care. So, I'm very spiritual. I'll go to the temple and I'll tell Hare Krishna, in peace. So it looks very spiritual, but actually he's exploiting her, right? Or it's still, you know, with japa, but oftentimes you see that suddenly they think, oh, it's Maya. Family is Maya, wife is Maya, children is Maya, and he's gone. So that's akarma. He wants to renounce. Is it really renunciation? Sorry, he creates a very heavy karma for himself. It's a very heavy reaction. That's why it's called so-called akarma. He thinks he's avoiding reaction. You know, the children are not screaming into his ear. So like in this second, he's free. But then, because he's creating suffering for the children and for the wife, he creates very bad reaction in the future for himself. So it's not real akarma, it's so-called akarma. It's not real renunciation, it's false renunciation. Right? It's simple, a simple example. Vito, you had some comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that this is probably the wrong attitude. The action is good, but it is misused through egoistic going.
Yes. So we are using the right philosophy. We are using the Shastra. We know that akarma is good. So that's why it's akarma in quotation marks. Something else? Okay. So atyahara. Now, okay. So we have over collecting. Then over endeavor. What would be the over endeavor? Too much tapasya for whom? Which category? So we had atyahara, overeating or over collecting. Now the next one is prayasa, over endeavoring. Things that are difficult, yes. So the vikarmi, they will do what? Yes. Work hard. Karmi. Vikarmi, work hard, or I don't know, steal. Like the gangster who is trying to steal every day. And karmi is doing what? Work so hard. Yeah, so hard he never, when he comes home, the children are asking, who is this man? Right? Prabhupada is joking. The daddy is so rarely at home that, who is this? Who is this? And so-called akarmi or jnani, not sleep enough, or reading too many books, as the 7th canto gives the prescription for the sannyasis. Don't read too many books. I mean, you have to study, but for understanding, not for just reputation. Okay? Prajalpa is clear. So in Vikarma, Prajalpa will be talking about, that's for everybody. Talking, insulting, hurting, or some declaring war, okay. Karma, you're talking about how to make money, or about heavenly pleasures. Karma kanda, heavenly pleasures. And so-called akarma. You don't talk. You don't talk too much. I mean, you talk too little. Well, it's a joke, okay. No. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says it's speculation, like speculating about some philosophical points in a dry way. What else? Okay, so talking, effort, collecting, and the same jhana sangha, associating. You can associating with sinful people, enjoyers. You can associate with pious enjoyers, or you can associate with false renunciates, false jnanis. So the same thing. And then you can see in this purport we do have in these three categories about lolium, being greedy. So you can be greedy. Where is it? You could be greedy for enjoyment. You can be greedy here. Yes, okay. Mystic powers, or merging into the existence of Brahman, or whimsical material prosperity. So you can examine all these things in these three categories. All right. So now, can you look into these 6 and can you put them in a sequence? Yes, second verse. One leading to the other. Like a story, yes. And over endeavoring, accumulating. Yes, you have no time to follow the rules. Yeah, that's a good sequence. Okay, yeah, associated with people don't follow. Huh? Yes, I need to repeat everything. True. Huh? Slowly. Okay, so that was a good sequence. So that's also a question. We will discuss. We will repeat. So how do you know how much endeavor is too much endeavor? Sometimes, I mean, we have to really work hard. I mean, it's good to work hard, right? It's nothing is bad about hard work. But how much is too much?
I heard it's good to have a balance between karma, jnana, and bhakti.
Karma, jnana, and bhakti. Okay. I think Sarabhoma gives, our big Vrindavan Sarabhoma professor, he's giving a good point that every normal person have to have balance between work, family, and rest. Work, family, and rest, right? You work to have healthy family. Yeah, you have to have enough rest. You have to have also spiritual life. So different spheres have to be balanced. Sometimes the modern idea is that you have no time left for anything. But how much work is too much if you have no time for? Yes, chanting at least 16 rounds, reading at least something, at least having some association from time to time, right? So maybe that's already over-endeavoring. There is one thing that Bhaktivinoda Thakur says is always good to endeavor for. Krishna Katha with devotees. Yes, Krishna Katha with devotees. He says this is one thing you can always make effort for. He says here, no over-endeavoring. But yes, if we make so much effort that even in devotional service we can see sometimes. Of course, we have marathons, so that's for some weeks we work really hard. But if it's all the time and then you become burnt out and you can't do anything or you destroy your health, as Ananda Maharaj who was our health minister, he was, many years ago, he was giving a class saying that we join, we start doing full time, and we neglect normal health to such an extent that after some time, just taking care of our health becomes our full-time effort. So better to be more balanced. Okay, so which would you put first here? The first leading to the other among these six things: association, greed, over collecting, overeating, associate. Okay, yes, association. Association is we are like crystals. So by associating, we are we can get what? By associating, we can get desires. Okay, desires. So this jana sanga leads to lowlyam, to greed, right? And then by greed, you can do what? Overeating. Okay. Okay, so by associating, you do talking, prajalpa. Prajalpa, by the way, doesn't mean only negative. It means a lot of talking. It's different kinds of talking, right? By talking, we get greed. By greed, we overeat or over-collect. If we over-collect, we will need to overwork. Yes. Janasanga, then Prajalpa. From Prajalpa, Lolya. Then from Lolya desires we overcollect. From overcollecting we have to overwork prayasa. And then if we overwork, niyamagraha. We either stop following, we don't chant, or we chant formally. Okay, just, satisfy the rule. Janasanga association. From that we talk about something, prajalpa. From prajalpa get desires, lolyam. From desires you overcollect or overeat, atyahara. From overeating you have to get it, over-endeavoring, prayasa. And from over-endeavoring, then either don't follow the rules of advancement or follow just formally, not in a conscious way. Right? Bhakti Maharaj is saying that every activity follows this sequence in every area. Who you associate, what do you talk about, what do you overcollect. As devotees, is there something we can which is okay to overcollect? Huh? What? Bead bags, okay. Yeah. Do you have a lot of bead bags? Okay, what else can we overcollect as devotees? Shilas. Oh, this is a good one. Oh, yes. Yes, collecting blessings, true? Yes. What else can we overcollect? Huh? Verses, nice. Verses. Okay. All right. Any questions here?
I would like to ask, what does it mean to follow the principles consciously?
Okay, so what is it? So to see what's following consciously, you have to see what's following unconsciously, right? Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives a nice explanation of these items in his book Bhaktyaloka. So in Bhaktyaloka, he says that this niyamagraha means to follow the rules and principles not from our level, either from the level below, yes, like if someone just chants one round, that's glorious, right? But if after so many years you're happy that you chant one round, well, maybe that's not really your level, right? You have, if you're a serious person, maybe you chant a little more. Or 3 lakhs, 100, how many? 192 rounds, like Haridas Thakur. Is it good? Is it good? It's good, right? It's glorified. But if you do this, like every day, or what will happen? It's obviously a little high. Maybe not for everybody, right? So it's taking the rule, chanting 3 lakh, and Haridas Thakur, for Haridas Thakur, it was such a rule, he didn't want to live. He asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu permission to die because he was too old to chant 3 lakhs. Right? It was a rule for him. So for him it was a rule. But if I follow such a rule in a formal way, without understanding why, then probably it's going to be not proper. So the purpose of all the rules, what's the main purpose of all the rules? To remember Krishna. Make spiritual advancement. Yeah. So basically, Mahatma is, we are trying to love Krishna more. We are trying to develop love for Krishna. So all the rules are just for that. Deepen our affection Love Krishna more. That's the whole idea. Love Krishna more. All we do is for loving Krishna more, for loving service. And loving Krishna, how do we know that we actually love Krishna? Where is the area where it's tested? Love his devotees, yeah. Love me, love my dog, right? Prabhupada says. So we see so many of these are connected to association. How do I respect externally? How do I engage in loving exchanges? And how do I see them in my heart? Can I tolerate the other devotees? Can I forgive the other devotees or devotees? Do I see Krishna in the heart? So this is sort of the growing ground, testing ground, and proving ground, if I'm advancing.
My question is, what is the difference between, I don't know, the English verse? You have the English version? Okay.
Auf Deutsch.
Übermäßiges Bemühen um weltliche Dinge, die sehr schwer zu erreichen sind, und gierig sein nach weltlichen Errungenschaften. Like it's.
Mhm. This is word for word, right?
Paryasa, zu sehr bemühen, and also
Over endeavoring, yes? Over endeavoring.
like both. What is the difference between prayasa and lolyam?
Prayasa and lolya, okay. So prayasa is work. What's the difference between prayasa and lolya? Prayasa is work, lolya is desire. Yeah. Lolya. This is greed. This is work. When you work, don't sleep, don't have time to be human. And lolya, when you are greedy, you have many desires. This is the difference. Prayasa is overworking, and lolya is being too greedy for something. Yes? Now, did you think about the connections? What leads to what? Which of the Vegas leave to which? From the first verse, yes. So, overeating is coming from which Vega, which urge?
Jiva Vegam.
Jiva Vega. And Udara, not controlling the desires of the belly.
To what it leads?
Yes. Over endeavoring. Words, not controlling words, that's clear. Leads to Prajalpa. The worst kind of Prajalpa, Bhaktiloka says, is discussing faults of others. Yes, discussing faults of others.
So the urge of the tongue is for overeating and also for the belly, or is it different?
Let's discuss it more in the evening. You can connect it also to the third verse of cures. Which medicine cures which problem? Third verse gives the medicines. This is the problems, and this is the urge. So if you can connect all three. Again, I have one version from Bhakti Maharaj who was trying to connect all three. I'm sure they are all interconnected, right? One will lead to the others too. Okay, so to conclude, I will tell you a scary quote from the Puranas. This is the quote from the Narada Purana, that if somebody counts others' sins, papagananam, if you are counting somebody's sins, yes, oh, this is 3 sins, 4 sins, 5 sins. And then Yamaraj says that for those who are counting other people's sins, they get the same punishment if the sin is actual, and double punishment if this was a false accusation. So at the same time, the sin of the sinner is reduced in half. So if the sin of the sinner, if there was an actual sin, it's reduced in half. They get half the punishment. So if you're criticized, be very happy. Because you're criticized enough, it's cut in half, and then you're clean. But if I accuse, I get the same punishment. Apparently. If they criticize, So Yamaraj says that if somebody likes to count other people's faults, problems, sins, bad acts, then they get the same punishment. They get the same hell as the prescribed punishment for that sin. If the sin was true, if actually there was a sin, and double the punishment if it was imagined. And the sin of the person who was sinful is cut in half, is reduced, is diminished, is lessened. Narada Purana. It's Narada Purana, Purva Bhaga, Pratamapada, chapter 15, verse 115. 1:15, verse 115. Yes. Tat papam samavapnoti narakam tavubhavapi papinam papagananam kritva nebyo dishanticha. Astitve tulya papaste mityatve dvigunanripa. So if asti, then the same punishment. If mitya, if imagined, then dviguna, double punishment. Apape patakam yastu, yeah. So that's why prajalpa can be of different kinds, but the most dangerous type of prajalpa is relishing and enjoying other people's problems, right? Better to discuss the positive developments. But our taste in this world is so much mixed with this, rasa or taste of ghastliness. Oh, how horrible. Oh, it's so horrible. Did you hear this? This is so horrible, And oh, really? Like this? It was horrible like this? Oh my God, did you hear this? It was so horrible.
Does this start already in the mind? Is there also reactions to the mind?
It says those who count and point to others. We have this story, Prabhupada tells the story about the Bombay Brahmana and the prostitute. You remember this? How there was a prostitute leading her clients, and nearby was a Brahmana who was sitting, and reading the book and always, and he was putting a stone he wanted to be precise, so every time he would put a stone, and how many clients she got. So then there was a fire, and Yamadutas came, and they came not to her but to him, and he said, "Oh, Prabhu, I'm sorry, you came to the wrong address. The prostitute is next door." He said, Yamadutas, the messengers of hell. Prabhupada is telling this story. It's a famous story. It's the messengers of hell. He said, no, sorry, she's there. He said, no, we are coming for you. He said, but she's a prostitute, I'm a Brahmana. The whole life I was reading the books. He said, no, you were reading the books, but your mind was on her and on her sinful activities, but her mind was always on you. She was thinking, oh, if I were like him, if I could read the Holy Scriptures the whole day, it would be so nice. So she's taken to heaven because she was meditating on pious activity and you were meditating only on sinful activities. So that's where we are taking you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. So we try to not avoid and not to enjoy. We try to fill our life with bhakti, with loving activities in the service of Krishna, Krishna's devotees, and the parampara of the spiritual masters leading to Krishna, and then our lives will become more and more sublime. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Upadeshamrita ki jai. See you at 7 in the evening. Oh yeah, yes. I wanted to announce a fasting. One fast. Sorry, thank you for reminding. Yes. We have a fast. We will fast till Saturday. So for the duration of this course until Saturday, let's fast from criticism. Okay? Not from sweets, not from grains, but from criticism. And if you feel a strong desire to criticize, then you tell yourself, okay, on Saturday. after 3 days. Okay? Thank you. Thank you very much. I wanted to announce it. I forgot.